There is much more to being a cabin crew than just handing out drinks and snacks and guiding people to their seats. First and foremost, cabin crew are responsible for the safety and comfort of the passengers. And in the first video, we spoke about the things that they perform, which are including keeping the passengers calm and in any cases of emergencies. And in today's video, I will stick to the emergency subject, but I will elaborate some of the first aid skills that the cabin crew have. My ultimate goal with this video is to ensure that you are well equipped with knowledge, you are well informed, and that you will use this time during the pandemic to effectively straighten and develop your skills and hopefully be that outstanding candidate that I strive over here on my YouTube channel. My name is Julia George. I used to be a cabin crew for Qatar Airways for 10 years, where I have resigned from my last work position as a cabin service director. I'm currently living in Germany and I'm studying aviation management master program at Wildau Institute of Applied Science, but I also work as a snore lab assistant in Helios Clinic in Schwerin. You might also want to click the subscribe button for the third video of this cabin crew skills episode, which will be related to the customer service skills. And let's start. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is a medical emergency due to an accident or an illness that had happened on board the aircraft, the cabin crew will immediately offer assistance to prevent further injuries or death and to relieve the pain. Now, essentially, the cabin crew are the first in line to help until the medical personnel arrives and takes over, and this is pretty much understandable. The cabin crew are also trained to help to calm passengers both in medical emergencies and in in-flight flight emergencies, so they will ensure that everyone in the cabin remains as calm as possible and as calm as the circumstances will allow that. A well-trained cabin crew can be the difference between life and death. And connected to what I have said, a knowledgeable candidate can be the difference between getting the job and being eliminated. When it comes to the first aid, most of the cabin crew performing their duty follow certain types of rules, and they are similar to keeping everyone calm and assist during injuries. They would also talk to other passengers to obtain information about the situation if they were not there and if they didn't see what has happened because they were doing their in-flight service. They will put on a proper personal protective equipment before they are providing first aid, such as gloves or mask. They will also search for signs of medical conditions, like, let's say, medical ID bracelets and stuff like that. The cabin crew will request assistance if there is a medical personnel on board the aircraft. They are entitled to make a PA for a qualified medical personnel on board. They will treat injuries in order of seriousness. The cabin crew are allowed to administer medications, but they are only allowed to administer medications which are provided in their first aid kits, which are available on board the aircraft. There are different first aid kits. They contain medications such as aspirin, antacids, there are bandages, and a lot of other things. Now, while treating a passenger, the cabin crew will first address the breathing issues. They will address if there is any bleeding, broken bones, burns, etc., etc. They will calmly tell the passenger that they're doing what they're doing actually, and they will effectively communicate with other crew members as well as the captain. This is part of the procedure. The captain will later on determine if a scheduled emergency landing is needed or not. Now, the cabin crew are required to perform first aid until landing, until medical personnel arrives, even if they have determined that the passenger is deceased or simply performing first aid is no longer applicable. However, they are required to do that until landing and until medical personnel arrives, and also after they have performed any first aid, they are entitled and they are obliged to perform and to write a report In the airline where I was working for, the medical report was written by the supervisors. However, if there is certain cabin crew who was performing, let's say, CPR, then that cabin crew will also have to fill out a form and be there to assist with all the informations that will be needed later on. During the cabin crew trainings, all sorts of emergency situations have been practiced, so the cabin crew will end up being prepared for the variety of emergencies that might occur on board the aircraft. The training is very detailed and very thorough, and indeed the cabin crew end up being very skillful. In fact, if you ask any cabin crew, they will be confirming this, I'm very sure. Now, here are some of the skills that the cabin crew are gaining after completing the first aid training. They are trained in performing CPR, the cardiopulmonary resuscitation. They are trained in using the automated external defibrillator. And also they are trained in using the emergency medical kits, which are available on board the aircraft. The cabin crew are able to also demonstrate an expertise in response to passengers' medical emergencies and also in administering first aid, as mentioned, and in CPR. It is very important to mention that after completing the first aid training, the cabin crew develop a very important understanding of how important it is to perform CPR in first aid situations, and also how important it is to know the operation of the defibrillator. Now, in order to increase your understanding on the first aid topic in the aviation environment, and to understand what are the things that the cabin crew are learning during the first aid training, here are some of the key first aid procedures which I will mention, plus the aviation context of a range of subjects that are covered during the first aid training for cabin crew, and they include the following. The cabin crew are learning what are their responsibilities in case of first aid situations and reporting of the same. They also learn what is emergency first aid. They learn a lot about legislation, about the actions that they're supposed to take in any form of first aid emergency. The cabin crew are in their training, in their initial training, are learning how to do a primary survey, how to do a secondary assessment on the situation. They're learning things which are related to the respiratory system, disorders of respiration. They are learning about foreign objects, which might occur, an injury might occur by foreign object. Disorders of the circulation, minor burns and scalds. We also have learned, I remember very much my first aid training, because we were doing it on yearly basis, about epilepsy, wounds and bleeding, resuscitation, assessments of the situation. We learn about choking, dealing with unresponsive casualty. There are separate procedures how to deal with unresponsive casualty, and those of you with medical background will very much know what I talk about. They learn about minor injuries, about seizures. Believe it or not, we also learn about the basic hygiene and how important it is in the first aid, bleeding control, about shock. We also learn about emergency first aid, which is important at work, and a lot of other things which, if I was not a cabin crew, I would never know about it. Also forgot to mention, we learn about childbirth as well. Now, to end this video, you will most probably ask me now, should you take training before you apply to be a cabin crew? And or should you go to take a first aid training before you decide to join an airline and use this time? Well, the answer for this question will be yes and no. Now, if you have understood what I have shared in this video, and you have made your own action plan in which you will sit down, you will learn about all those things, and you will be more knowledgeable about it, then definitely you don't need the training. However, if you feel like you need more knowledge on this, and this is a subject that is absolutely an interest of yours, then why not? Perhaps it would be a good idea if you enroll yourself in any first aid course and use this time effectively to gain a certificate, and later on, when the recruitment processes resume, you actually have a statement confirmation that you've used and you've utilized this time to develop some new skills. Now, you will most probably ask me to which institute you should go, which one is the best one. I won't be able to tell you because I'm not very familiar with institutes in first aid training in aviation. We're talking about it, but because most of the candidates that I know, they got the job without having that first aid training. However, in these irregular circumstances, I think that this is a good idea. So my video is more like an information for you to know which are the skills that you can work, develop, and straighten, and to give you guidelines on how to use this time effectively and this everyday life as well. Now, by now, you should also feel more prepared for your role as a cabin crew member, and that will enable you to have more understanding on where or what are the first aid procedures and which one of them the cabin crew are trained for. Now, I will also want to share that this video will ensure that you can respond effectively to the range of possible questions that the recruiters might ask you, because none of the questions that the recruiters will ask you is containing questions which are related to the first aid. However, your primary imperative should be that you always will be there to aim the customer's safety, the customer's comfort, and that includes if you see any abnormality, let's say a passenger is choking or a passenger is bleeding, the very same thing that you would do to someone who you would see on the street, go and immediately assist them. This is the very same thing you should tell to the recruiters. During your recruitment process, you're not required to answer any first aid question. Please make this clear. And I'm making this video, the first video that I made, which is related to the safety and security skills, this video which is related to the first aid skills, and the third video which is related to the customer service skills, are things that are good to know. And if you find that area of an interest for yours, then why not develop and straighten those skills in order to be that outstanding candidate that will get the job on the spot. Last but not the least, again, hit the subscribe button with the notification button for the many videos that are coming, and I'm gonna be seeing you very soon. Bye bye and have a nice day.